Hey everyone, this is Josh from before. I'm here with McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Steppenwolf MegaFig from the Snyder cut of Justice League. And first of all, Amazon was really rough with this. This guy's barely hanging on in the package. He's about to fall out here. There's a piece of tape from I don't know where. I think it was maybe over his axe, but somehow is now against the bubble. I don't know. But that's what you get with Amazon. Anyway, really stoked about this MegaFig scale. I've been looking forward to this in a big way ever since they announced this. I just love that they're doing these oversized characters in their own just dedicated packaging. You don't have to collect an entire wave to build the figure, and they're just going direct with an oversized packaging and individually carded. It's great. Now, this character, I will admit, I think Steppenwolf was the biggest improvement, or at least one of the biggest improvements of the Snyder cut. Just a vastly improved characterization. They made him an interesting character. A really great motion capture performance and voiceover performance, but this character design, and especially I'll admit, in motion in the movie with his like shifting armor and stuff, it looks a lot better than just stills, because I gotta admit, when I first saw that picture, I was like, that looks terrible. But, I'm going to give this guy a fair shot. I really looking forward to getting him out of this packaging and seeing what he's got to offer. If you are trying to find him, here's that for you. So let's just see let's see how this guy turned out. So one thing I got to mention is this packaging here, obviously, there's a lot of room to grow as far as there's a lot of empty space in this. So they have the potential to do even bigger figures. You can see just like this guy barely takes up half of that real estate in there. So future MegaFig releases, some of them could be really massive. And then like, I think they announced a Swamp Thing MegaFig. You could imagine, a big bulky Swamp Thing, but then maybe he's got extra like branches that you clip on that makes his silhouette even larger. There's a lot of potential here in this MegaFig scale. I'm looking forward to many more. He smells good. And he feels good. He's sturdy and heavy. Feels really good just right out of the gate. I mean, I was complaining about the character design, but this really does look great. I mean, it's just a ton of detail. But that, again, all this detail, this character design, it's just the same thing over and over again. There's no real negative space or contrast points to kind of draw your eye or give your eye a break. So it's just overload, texture overload. And it's not a fault of the figure. It's just the way they designed him. They just made him hard to look at, honestly. So that head has a decent amount of motion. He isn't going to look straight up just because of the way his neck is kind of back here. Let's look at the back too. I mean, really nice. And they put some nice weathering, a black wash in this armor that really makes it pop. It looks good. He's got these big, that's got sticky. Joints are a little sticky, but one of the things is this is the first iteration of this MegaFig scale figure. So I would expect these to maybe have more QC issues than just an average 7-inch. Just because they've done more of those, they haven't done as many of these in this scale, so there's bound to be some issues. There's no butterfly in this. So he doesn't have that great little extra sort of place to to make subtle changes to his body language, which is what I love about those butterfly joints. He's got bicep cuts here, a little sticky, but you can see the way they've tooled that bicep cuts really nice with these sort of jaggedy edges that just make it look like an organic sort of joint there. He's got single elbows, but they also have a rotation in there, which is nice. Yeah, if it's going to be a single, at least give me that rotation, and I'm not going to complain too hard. I love these great big hands with what? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fingers. He's got thumbs all over the place. The rotation's really tight. I don't know if it's going to rotate or not. It might just be stiff. Let's try the other hand. Yeah, that wrist rotates. It's just sticky. I love, he's got this hand for his axe accessory, and he's got this open hand. I kind of wish, this hand was maybe a little bit more of a intimidating sort of thing, because it just does, it's just kind of laying there flat. Like he doesn't know what to do with his hands. Diaphragm and waist. Not much forward movement on the diaphragm, but he's got some nice forward. Man, they're really this wave so far. What I've seen, they've been trying to give us that extra forward bend. Oddly, it comes at the waist more than the ab crunch, but they're getting there. They're getting better about that. The trade-off is that they've got kind of bigger gaps right here, where the waist meets the hip pelvis area. He can do the full split. He's got pretty good range here. This is nice and stretchy, this briefs crotch piece, so he can get some pretty good movement in there. He's got this hip swivel. That's fantastic. So he doesn't need a thigh cut because he's got this great swivel right there from the hips, top of the hips. Love it. A single knee. Single knee that rotates. And actually it's an okay. Yeah, he could sit down, I guess, if he had a big enough chair, but and then ball joints, the ball joint right there and that ankle is maybe the ugliest sort of piece of articulation. They've got his armor kind of hanging over it a little bit, but it's detectable there. And he's got this toe articulation. He actually has 2 independently moving toes, which is a nice touch. We'll see if that actually can factor into making a pose better, but it's nice. Man, this guy's awesome. This guy's really cool. I'm just the design, my problems with the design are not getting in the way of me having fun with this thing. The size is wonderful. The movement is really pretty satisfying, and just, the look of it. This guy is exactly what he was meant to look like. So let's get his weapon out. He's got his big intergalactic axe here, which again also has a black wash on it to bring out these details and make it look a little more realistic. Compare that to Aquaman's trident. It's a huge difference. Really appreciate putting the paint in the accessory. I have to imagine this is just going to slide right in. Holds it like so. No real surprises there. Okay, I gotta say, because this guy is kind of stiff and he's got these little jagged edges everywhere and he's got little spikies all over him, moving around, you kind of have to wrestle with it a bit, and you got to be careful not to pinch yourself. It's not the most exciting thing, but it kind of looks like H.R. Giger. It's kind of cool. And my thought for this guy, you know, as far as just like getting him on the shelf and stuff, I kind of want him like, you know what I mean? He's big enough to like straight up hold somebody up, which is pretty cool. I mean, you might have to put some sticky tack in his hand or something to get the character kind of attached, but I mean, that's some really fun potential there. Just a figure big enough that he can just like pick up, you know, members of the Justice League. He did come with this classic hockey puck stand, which you're probably going to need. I'm sure there's a way to get him to stand up and balance, but just his feet are dainty. And I mean, if you're like me, you don't want him just in a classic A pose. You want to put him in some sort of action, kind of doing something a little bit more than just standing there. So he's got dainty, little precarious little feet, and he's got a very high center of gravity. So getting him to stand just so is going to be a bit of a pain, and especially if you want to get real, you know, cute, like I said, and make him where he's like holding somebody. It's gonna be tough, but he'll do it. Even just getting him to stand in a straight A pose is difficult, and you might, fortunately, if you've been collecting this multiverse line, you know they give you all these little hockey puck stands with every figure, and you've probably collected more than you need by now. You might need one on each foot even. I don't know, it's just tough to get just so. All of his weight is like right here in his torso, the big solid chunk. So here he is next to some of these Justice League team members here. You can see just how tall he is. He's a couple heads taller than everyone else. And actually, hang on. So he's pretty tall next to these guys. I wouldn't say he's twice as big as them, because the price point is twice as much. And let's see him next to... So here he is next to these Build-A-Fig characters, and you can see he's definitely taller, but I mean, obviously Bane, he's not more plastic than this Bane is. And this Bane, Merciless, and Darkfather back there, those were Build-A-Figs, and you had to pay $5 extra over 4 separate figures to put these Build-A-Figs together, which means the cost of these Build-A-Figures was $20, and this is $40. So, like I said on that box, I showed you the box earlier, there's still a lot of empty space in that box and room for the MegaFigs to grow and be even bigger than this Bane, but this one doesn't do it. So the $40 price tag, the value, I don't know if it's there in this one. I think it could be in the future. The value could be there, but I don't know if they're really bringing $40 worth of value. Oh, and you know what? Let's also look at him next to a Marvel Legends Build-A-Fig. Obviously, substantially bigger than him. This isn't the biggest Legend Build-A-Fig ever, but you can see. So there he is, Steppenwolf. This guy's really fun. You know, if you don't have any particular attachment to this character or the Snyder cut of Justice League in general, it would be a pass for me. I mostly just wanted to, I want to support this MegaFig line, and I'm gonna hang on to this guy. Like you can see just in the back, you get a sense of just like what having these oversized characters can do to your displays, and it's nice to be able to get something like this without having to go and hunt down 4, 5, 6 figures and get the Build-A-Fig piece and pay extra for them and all that. So I love it in theory. I love the execution of this figure, but the Steppenwolf is just not a huge draw for me. So there you go, guys. I'll have Darkseid soon. I'll be looking at him as well. And I will see you guys on that one. Thanks for watching. Bye.